All right, I wanted to talk about this for a while. I wanted to talk about Xbox because, man, what a fall from grace. To be honest, they've been falling since like 2013, if we're going to be honest. And then they fell even harder like a year ago. I forgot what happened, but I'm just going to go through my experience with Xbox, man, because I'm gonna be honest, I used to be an Xbox rider. You know, I used to be a ride or die for Xbox back in the day when the 360 came out. Back in elementary school, me and my boys were Xbox 360 guys, but then there were other classmates who were PS3. And, you know, we'd clown each other from time to time saying, oh, how did it feel being down on the PlayStation Network for like 2 weeks? It sucks because my first ever console was legit an Xbox. It was an Xbox. I got Halo 1 with it because it was a bundle. And shout out my mom. She did not know, bro. I forgot the other games. I think it was like Backyard Wrestling, Brute Force, just like some random games that I would get from Blockbuster. And I remember this boxing game with Muhammad Ali on the cover. So I played that. And then I think years went by and then I got Halo 2, and Halo 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And you know, that's because of Xbox and how they revolutionized shooters. I feel like Halo 2 is one of the most revolutionary shooters of all time. I did have a PS2 as well. PS2 was great. What really changed things for me was the Xbox 360 days. That's when I experienced all the games, man, like all the good, the Halos, the Gears of Wars. There's a bunch of games on the 360. That was probably my favorite console of all time. And so when they announced next gen for the Xbox One, I'm gonna be honest, I was gonna get the Xbox One, and then they messed it all up with that DRM. I forgot what it was, but I think you weren't allowed to share games. I think if you had like a disc-based game and you gave it to your friend, they were gonna make it so you could not play it. Everyone hated that shit. Everyone was talking about it and how it was gonna ruin gaming, and Xbox is cooked. And then it got even worse because to nail it on the coffin, PlayStation hit you with one of the greatest ads of all time. And this is how Xbox simply did not recover from the Xbox One PS4 generation. Like, they were always trailing behind 3-1 sales, I think. But just like this clip right here, man.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Bruh. Nah, this is crazy. Bro, that is one of the most diabolical ads of all time. And since this, PlayStation has been on top. Yeah, literally. And that's how Sony won this generation in 21 seconds. It was that bad for Microsoft. And them trying to make the Xbox One this all entertainment system, which by the way, no one wanted at the time because it was meant for gaming. And then they tried to push really hard for Kinect, which would have been cool now, but at the time no one really wanted it. You know what I'm saying? People were even saying, hey, Xbox, turn off when they would use it for game chat. It was crazy. So even when they reverted the DRM, it was too late. Like, there was too many videos on it. There was too much backlash that they literally lost the generation. They did not keep up at all. And the worst thing is that they could not come up with good games. Like, I can tell you right now, I can't name a single game that came out of the Xbox One where I'm like, oh my God, there it is. Because they still do it to this day. It's crazy. They still rely on the things that made them in the past. Like Gears of War and Halo. They're still coming out with those games. Nobody wants that anymore, bro. Just let it go. Literally let it go. I have been done with Halo since Halo 4 and how bad that game was. And then they came out with Halo 5. an absolute disgrace. Such a disgrace. I can tell you right now, I had an Xbox One. Then I sold it for a PS4 because I don't even remember a good game that was on Xbox One exclusively. Titanfall doesn't count. I guess you can count that. They even tried buying Shadow of the Tomb Raider for a year. Guess what? That didn't work either. They were trying to do these exclusive games for like a year that they can have on their console. It didn't work. It didn't work. And I could tell you some PlayStation games off the top of my head right now. Uncharted 4, Last of Us 2, Bloodborne, God of War, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, what else? Like that, what? Infamous Second Son, I think? One of those. There were literally so many bangers. And the only thing I remember from Xbox One is Sunset Overdrive. Yep. So they were getting washed. And the one thing about PlayStation, you know, say what you want, but they don't rely on, you know, like these games from the past still. Well, yeah, like they don't still have ongoing series of Uncharted or The Last of Us. They're pretty much done. Or Killzone. Like these series, they have been laid to rest and they know when to put them to rest, except the remasters for Last of Us. But anyways, regardless, Xbox is still coming out with those games. So yeah, the Xbox One generation was cooked. One of the biggest saving graces for Microsoft was Game Pass. You know, it's basically Netflix for games. It was at a really cheap deal. I think it was like $10 for Ultimate at one point in the beginning, right? You would get all these games, these day one games, and it would be in your library. You know, you'd get an Xbox Series X, and then you would pair that up with Game Pass, pretty cheap, right? These day one games. And then I think Microsoft would buy a bunch of studios saying, we're back. We're gonna make good games again. Guess what? I don't even know if they made Hi-Fi Rush, but then they let that studio go. They let go of a bunch of studios that they bought back in 2020. That's great. Then they bought Bethesda. Bethesda's still doing Bethesda stuff. It's just the same for me. And then they bought Activision. You know how it is. But the main thing that they did, which was one of the best things they have ever done, you pair like a Series X, which at the time was $500, and then you pair it up with Game Pass for like $10 a month. I remember Ultimate being like $10 a month, and you get day one games. That's a pretty good deal compared to PlayStation, where you'd have to buy the console for $500, then the games. You know what I'm saying? Not all games would be on Game Pass, but still, you would still get a good selection of games. And so they were riding this Game Pass high for a pretty long time. You know what I'm saying? For like 4 years, everything was going smoothly. Sure, they were upping prices slowly but surely, but it was just like $1 or $2 a year. So people wouldn't really complain that much. And Game Pass was really well. And they also added it to PC, so they're getting more revenue. They started adding Xbox games that would be exclusive to PlayStation. And I don't know how y'all feel about that. I want exclusive games for consoles, because at that point, if it's on every console, why get another console? Like, why would I get a PlayStation, or why would I get an Xbox if it's already coming to PlayStation? You know, if you're a PlayStation gamer. So it literally made it, for me, it makes no sense. That is what sold consoles in the past. You have a good console with amazing games, people are gonna flock to that console, right? I feel like that makes the most sense. But you know, Microsoft had their own thing, doing Game Pass and making that a good deal. I think that's all the Microsoft controversies that I remember. But the biggest one that happened recently was, of course, Game Pass Ultimate being $30 a month. Here in Canada, I think it's like 34 plus tax, 38 which is crazy. They nerfed the shit out of the two tiers, made Ultimate juiced up with everything, adding Fortnite Crew, which most people do not care about. And then they added day one games only to Ultimate. And then, you know, I don't remember the name, Premium and Essential, those get like the day one games a year later. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get that anymore. You have to wait a year, which, man, that was a big mess up, because why would you do that? I know your Call of Duty sales from Black Ops 6 were not looking great because of Game Pass, but now it's even worse because no one's playing Black Ops 7. The only reason I have Ultimate is because I had a code for 3 months. And so I just don't see people, like, unless you're a whale, right? But in this economy, a lot of people are not gonna afford Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already know these Xbox, Microsoft fanboys, they're feeling it a little bit, you know, because $30 for a subscription. This is one of the most expensive subscriptions on the planet. I swear to God. It's cheaper. It's more expensive than Netflix, HBO Max, Paramount Plus, Prime. It is more expensive than those. And then at that point, if you're paying $30 for Game Pass, their day one games, most of the time, 90% of the time, they are not worth it. And also, if you multiply by 12, it is $360. $360. That is 80 times 8, 16, 32. That's like 4.5 games. But most games, most banger games nowadays are not $80. All right, they're like 40. Like Expedition 33, you can get right now for like $30. And you also get to keep it. And a lot of indie games are 20, 15, 10, and a lot of the games on Game Pass, they are games you can get for an insane deal when the sales come on. Like, let's just look at a couple examples. The ones they added recently. Mortal Kombat 1 was literally on sale for $10. Bratz Rhythm and Style. Wow. What a good game. Yeah, you're definitely gonna spend your money on that. Routine, okay, fine. That's like $20. Digging a Hole, $5. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon, who cares? Let's go to their AAAs. Let's see some good games here. Like Assassin's Creed, you can get all these games for like under $20, man. Unity was like $4 out, $2 at some point. You can get Rogue for cheap. Valhalla is currently on sale for like $5. Yeah, Syndicate's on sale for a really good price. Ball Pit is like $15. Balatro is $15. And you get to keep it, y'all. You actually get to keep it. Dead Space on sale for like $10. Fallout 3 Game of the Year you can get for $5. Fallout 4 you can get for like $8. A bunch of these games. GTA was free on Epic Games at some point. Peppa Pig World Adventures. Hell yeah. Like a bunch of these games are just like, they're not worth. Like Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I know a lot of, well, is there even Xbox gamers at this point in time? Shadow of the Tomb Raider is $5.20. This is in Canadian, so it's probably like $3. But yeah, just these games are so dead cheap on sales, man. It's not worth it, and you get to keep it. Did I say that already? You get to keep it. So Game Pass was a great deal when it was like 10 to 15 bucks. Ultimate was great. You know what I'm saying? I got my money's worth, because there are games that I wouldn't keep. I would just play once and then that's it. But now you're asking me to spend $30. Now, luckily I am on PC, so you know there is Game Pass PC, which is around like 17 bucks. So at that point, it's still a little worth it, and you're still getting day one games. So it's not that bad. But for people on console, like I just don't see the value anymore. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're willing to wait a whole year to get the game. But at that point, it'll probably be on sale during that year. They added the price hike, which I think they did it twice actually. Yeah, they've done a 2 times price hike. One was for tariffs. The other one recently, I don't know why. I actually don't know why they did it. So they're going to do it a third time because RAM prices are through the roof. And so, yeah, we don't even, it's probably going to cost like $800, $900 at this point. And it's going to be way above market price from when it was in 2020. And it's crazy because reselling the Xbox, I mean, granted, it wasn't as much as PlayStation, but the reselling price in 2020 is going to be the same price it was now. That's crazy. That is actually crazy. And I actually don't know how much it is right now. We just search up Xbox Series X. No, I'm blocking you. $729. Damn. And how much is a PlayStation? PS5. PlayStation 5. Oh wow. Not on sale. It is $100 cheaper. I mean, you could just get the digital, I guess. Or, oh my god, the Pro is $100 more right now. Wow. And it absolutely smokes the Series X. I think they're gonna add like FSR 4 something. They're gonna add something to the PS5 Pro next year, so it's gonna be even better. But $729, and the PS5 Pro is $829. Just spend the extra $100. And the fact that it's still it's on sale with the whole RAM shortage. Like, Xbox is literally cooked, y'all. They did not prepare their time. They didn't stockpile any RAM for their consoles. Like, they're cooked. They're gonna up the price really soon, whereas PlayStation probably gonna up their price eventually, but it's gonna take a lot longer because they even have it on sale until they up the prices. So I would probably get a PlayStation right now if you can, because especially before GTA 5. I don't know when they're gonna up the prices, but y'all should probably do that. Yes, the top 3 selling consoles in November. PS5, crazy, right? They outsold the Switch 2. I thought the Switch 2 would get more sales, but apparently not. PS5, Switch 2, then the next Playground outsold Xbox Series X. That's crazy. That is insane. You're getting outsold by something I never heard of. You're getting outsold by a Polaroid. That's dude, this is one of my favorite. This company had one of my favorite consoles of all time with the Xbox 360. And then I don't know what they're doing. They're saying they're profitable. Then they're doubling the price of Ultimate. They're saying they made like, I don't even know, like billions of dollars in revenue. And I don't know what's going on, man. And then they're gonna up the price again because of the RAM. And they can't make good games for the life of them. I don't know when we've had a generational Xbox like made game. You know what I'm saying? Can you count? Like, Bethesda hasn't made a generational game. The only thing I can remember is Oblivion, but that doesn't count. That's a remake. I don't even, it really sucks. Like, I still want to see them in the market. They need to be in the console market because you cannot let Sony, like, I know Nintendo is there, but I feel like they're not really competitors. Like, they are, of course, because they're consoles, but like, it was always PlayStation and Xbox trying to fight for those gamers, those certain gamers, you know what I mean? And now that you have PlayStation just on their own, that is never good. It is never good, because we've seen what PlayStation has done this generation. Basically nothing. They've just been chilling. They actually have, like, they've made some like bad moves too, but it doesn't really matter because Xbox is doing worse. And you could see that with the PS4. They went for their necks in that generation, and you could see it with the amount of banger games they had. One of the greatest game lineups ever for a console generation, and now Xbox is pretty much like I remember them saying that they said they didn't see Sony as a competitor. They saw who was it? Netflix? It was something crazy that they don't even see Sony as competitors anymore because they got whooped so bad. So yeah, it's really a shame, and I don't know. I was really hoping the Steam machine could compete with the PlayStation, but that's not even gonna like compete because of the price. It's gonna be more of a PC competitive thing, and even then, like I do have some problems with Steam OS, like not supporting BattlEye, and so a lot of console games especially are not compatible. So yeah, it would be hard to compete in that console market anyways. But yeah, Xbox is dying. Literally, they have been. I don't know what happens next. No one's buying their console for good reason. They're just trying to squeeze what's left of their fan base, all 10 of them. Anyways, I'll see you next time. I'm out later.